And good afternoon. Welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. And we're here for another exciting guest. And I'm very excited about our next guest, Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District here in Missouri. Cameron, welcome to the booth.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
And Cameron, I know a lot of people in the area know you. You've been working very hard for, how long have you been in office now?
This is my third year, second term, but third year.
Third year. And tell the listeners a little bit about Cameron Bunting Parker.
Okay, so I live in Campbell with my husband, Chad. We have two children there that attended Campbell High School. Claire currently is a third year at Mizzou Law School, and Charlie's a senior at College of the Ozarks, but practice law in my office in Risco now. Been doing that for about 27 years. And then, like I said, third year in the House of Reps. So,
and again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Very excited to be joined by Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District. And Cameron is talking a little bit about her kids. And I know we're not here to talk about your children, Cameron, but you must admit you have to be extremely proud. Both children are doing outstanding. Claire, as you indicated, is in law school. Tell the people a little about Claire, because she takes after her mother as far as her brains. No disrespect to Chad, in that right, Mooring? I don't give Mooring a microphone he can't answer.
Okay. Well, thank you. No, I'm proud of both of them. Claire's a third year at Mizzou. She is going to graduate this May and sit for the bar. After graduation, she has a 2-year clerkship for the Missouri Supreme Court, clerking for Judge Wilson. And then after that, she has accepted a job at Norton Rose Fulbright in St. Louis. Tiny bit disappointed that she didn't come back home and work for Mother, but I couldn't compete with the salary that they're offering her right at this time.
I understand. And again, we're going to talk about Charles Andrew in a minute. And again, Claire is a great kid, extremely intelligent. She's also on Law Review. Is that correct?
She is. Yes, she is. I think the assistant editor-in-chief of the Missouri Law Review.
And for those of us who are at the bottom of the class, that's where all the smart people are, Mooring. Yes, exactly. And, of course, Charles Andrew, outstanding baseball player in high school, obviously, led his Campbell to their first and only state basketball championship in, was it 2021? 2021.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's
one of my favorite topics.
Time flies. And, of course, Charles Andrew's a big baseball player as well.
Yes. So
tell me a little about Charles Andrew.
Okay. He has done 4 years of collegiate baseball. He finished up, actually, we were hoping the eligibility rules would change where he would have one more year like his COVID year, but that didn't happen for where he's at. So he's finished now. He's finishing. He says he has a semester left, maybe a year, and will graduate with a business degree from the College of the Ozarks, which, I mean, as you know, that college I love that college. He has to work out there, and so he has to work for his tuition. Currently, he is working at the library, but prior to that, my favorite job that he had was the fruitcake and jelly kitchen, where he actually made the fruitcakes and jelly that the College of the Ozarks sold.
Absolutely. Again, we're going to welcome the booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th State Legislative District, talking a little about her background, a little bit about her children. And, Cameron, I went to Southeast Missouri State. The only library I worked at was downtown at the library, but there wasn't much studying going on there.
Yeah, Chad Parker, my husband, also went to SEMO, and I think he talked about the library occasionally.
Chad and I have a lot in common. That's why Chad and I are always very, very close friends with Chad. So, Cameron, tell us a little bit about what's going on with the legislature, a little bit about your first 3 years. I know that, again, I'm not just bragging, but everyone I talk to throughout the state is very excited that you're representing our area. You've managed to get a lot of stuff done for the area. Tell the people a little bit about what committees you're on and what you've some of the legislation that you've helped pass up there in Jefferson City.
Okay. First of all, the committees that I'm on, I am the chair of the Joint Committee on Judicial Systems. I'm also the chair of Judiciary. I'm on Professional Registration and Licensing, where I serve as the vice chair. I'm on General Laws, and then this week I just was added to Budget.
Oh, outstanding. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking with Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, you said that you're just recently on budget. Does that mean that you'll now have more thorough access to the entire budget for the state of Missouri as it's put together?
Yes. So we develop, the budget committee develops the budget. We will go in a little earlier than session. Session normally starts first or second week in January. So I'll probably go back up in December, start doing budget committees, and then every single dollar basically that's spent, we'll get to look over that. I'll be on what they call big budget, not a sub budget, but I'm excited about that. So I think that's important to be on that committee.
Absolutely. And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District, talking about some of the assignments that Cameron has. Very excited. May I call you Cameron, by the way? I apologize. I need to ask you that.
Of course.
Some of the things that Cameron does in Jefferson City. And you indicated that you're on budget, and you said you're on the big budget. So you're going to be the one who's putting together the entire budget for the state of Missouri that's going to impact where money goes and where it flows, correct?
Absolutely.
And that's a very new appointment, is that right?
Yes, this last week.
Outstanding. And Cameron, tell the listeners a little bit about what is the area for the 150th Legislative District, if you don't care.
Okay, sure. It encompasses all of Dunklin County, the southern portion of Pemiscot County, and then the western and southern portion of Butler County. Pemiscot is kind of drawn a little different because it kind of takes in Wardale and goes back across, and then kind of runs across 412 south of Crothersville, south of Haytide, and goes all the way down to Steele, Cooter. And then on the Butler County side, I have basically 53 south. So I don't get Culin, but I get south of Culin. I have Neelyville, Harville, and it kind of runs up to Stringtown, Missouri, if you're familiar with that.
I am familiar with Stringtown. And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, I guess my first question is, does anyone in Jeff City have a ruler? Because it sounds like that's quite a uniquely drawn. I'm just kidding. Mooring, I think we could have laid that out, couldn't we? Yes, that sounds like some of my geometry work in high school. So, Cameron, you indicated the 150th District. This is your third year. Tell the listeners in a little bit about when does the legislative process or the session start and when does it end?
Okay, so it starts in January where I have to be up there Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, and it ends May 30th, but usually May 15th. We adjourn. So,
and again, there's also some opportunity. There's maybe some veto sessions, legislative special sessions, things of that nature. So just kind of lay out. I know this is not a typical year, but let's just talk about your year in 2025. You went up in January, is that correct?
Yes.
And we had a new governor.
Yes, we did.
And he was sworn in. And then he was sworn in. And so in January to May was regular session. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You were in Jefferson City Monday through Friday, sometimes most 8 to 5, whatever the session or schedule is, correct?
Right.
Was there any veto session this year?
Veto session is next week. So we had a special session or a legislative session in June, I guess. And then I go back tomorrow, basically, and do veto, which is also a special session that has been called. So in the past, we've had a veto session always in September, but I did not have to go back for two special sessions.
So it's been a very busy year this year, to say the least. Is that correct?
It has.
And again, we're here with Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th State Legislative District. She talked a little bit about the area that she covers, basically Pemiscot, Dunklin. Do you have any of Stoddard?
No, Stoddard.
Just Butler.
Butler, yes.
Those 3 counties, and done a lot of good things. Cameron, I know, because I'm kind of a nerd, is that right, Mooring? Absolutely, shaking his head 100%, that you can track the legislation that's been filed and the actual bills that become perfected bills and signed by the governor. Is it my understanding that out of everyone in the state of Missouri, on the House side, you had the most bills that became law in the state of Missouri this session?
I did.
That's outstanding. Now, I know I've always said this. A lot of the representatives in the past, I thought for every 2 bills you pass, for every 1 bill you pass, you should repeal 2 bills. But your 13 bills are important bills for the people, and I want them to know that. And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, I'm going to let you run through the bills, but I want to start off with the one I think is the most impressive, and that's the one that I think really helps those individuals. That's with the hearing aids.
Yes.
Talk a little about the hearing aid bill that you got passed and got implemented this year.
Okay, so the way the current law sat prior to this bill being passed is that Missouri Health Net only paid for cochlear implants or hearing aids if you were a particular class of person. If you were a pregnant person, obviously if you're on Missouri Health Net, if you were blind, if you were under the age of 18 or over the age of 55. And so what was happening is we had a large gap in this group of people that weren't getting, had hearing aids or cochlear implants from birth all the way to age 18, turned 18, stopped, and then they wouldn't have coverage until age 55. And so with this just extends coverage for that gap of people. And and I can go on and on about this, but I think what drove it home for me is I had a client that came into my office, even before I had filed this, talking about she had worked at McDonald's. She had hearing aids. She was 22 years old. Her whole life she had been hearing impaired. Her hearing aids broke. She could not get them repaired because of the cost. She couldn't afford it. And then she lost her job and the ability to provide for her family and help her family out. And, that you think about all the people, your family alone. I mean, hearing loss affects so many people across the state of Missouri. And I think if we can put something like this, provide coverage and be able to get folks back to work and give them a better quality of life.
Absolutely, and we're getting on to Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker. The state representative for the 150th District includes Butler, Dunklin, and Pemiscott County, parts of all of Dunklin County. Cameron's originally from Risco.
Yes.
And I need to talk about this because, at one point I worked in a law firm in which there were two former college athletes and me. And of course, Cameron obviously is a former college athlete. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And she's also an all-state basketball player. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, I'm going to ask her a question that always aggravates her. Are you the leading scorer in the history of Risco High School?
Unfortunately, no. I think I'm shy a few points. Had I known that my senior year, I'd have probably tried to put up a few more points. So.
And I understand. And of course, if you want to go to the Risco Gymnasium, and of course, is it the Roy Hahn Memorial Gymnasium?
Yes.
I believe your number or your jersey's hanging in the, is it still there?
My photo.
Oh, her photo.
Yeah.
Well, that was
no jersey.
That's the first thing she did when she went to the house was to get that hung up. No, I'm just kidding. And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, tell us a little bit about some of the other bills. Now, you indicated we talked about my favorite bill was the hearing aid bill. How many actual bills did you handle that got signed into law this year?
So the ones that I actually handled through the House were two that were actually handled by me as the handler. The others were just my pieces of my bill on other bills that somebody else handled. So.
And if you add that up, how many is it? Is it like 12, 13?
12.
12 bills. That's outstanding. And again, this is only your first year of your second term. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And talk to the listeners a little bit about when you first drove up to Jefferson City, when you first got elected. Was there a big learning curve?
Oh, huge. They always say you're drinking from a fire hose, and which is true. I mean, and being an attorney, I thought, I've got this. I know this. Not exactly the case. I mean, and we always learned years ago how a bill, like Schoolhouse Rock,
right,
how a bill becomes law. A lot of truth to that, but there's so much more involved in what you have to do. And true, you said earlier, well, I'm in Jeff City on Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, and you work 8 to 5. But in reality, I'm there early in the mornings because I try to go in and read the bills. And sometimes our committees don't get out until 11 o'clock at night. I mean, you're working or on the House floor a lot when you're up there.
And again, everyone, welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District that covers parts of Butler, all of Dunklin, and some of Pemiscott County, my three favorite counties in the entire world. Cameron, tell us a little bit about the listeners. What would be your normal day if you were in Jefferson City? About the time it starts, and say you had a committee meeting. Kind of walk us through how you would do that.
So, let's just say on an average Tuesday, I always started my day with a committee meeting. I had it at 8 a.m., and it was professional registration and licensing. So I went to the committee meeting. Depending on it's allotted for 2 hours. So if we're done, then this year we started session at 10 a.m. on the dot. So then by starting session, we go to the House floor. The bell rings, almost like recess. You come in, we go in, we pray, we do the pledge, and then they start the House business, whatever that may be. It depending on if we're perfecting bills, if we're third reading bills, whatever in the journal it spells out. Then if we break for lunch, normally I had a committee at noon, which is Judiciary Committee. Then we would come back to the House floor when we're very busy at 2 p.m., work through other bills. And then after the adjournment in the afternoon, other committees, if your committee is meeting that day, if we have work to do.
And let's say a lot of people, is there a situation in which a committee could not start till like 4 or 5 in the afternoon?
So sometimes we cannot have a committee hearing while we are conducting business on the House floor. So if you're on the House floor, you can't be, we're going to go and have committee hearings. Can't do that. So
as you indicated, you can start at 8 a.m. and be done maybe 10, 11 o'clock at night on some nights. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, there's been several nights that I've left at 10 p.m. or later.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th State Legislative District. And Cameron, one thing that I also want the listeners to know, there's no good way to get to Jefferson City from southeast Missouri, is there?
There's not. I've tried every single road from here to there. And I always tell my husband, like a plane would do me well, but he's not bought into that yet.
Well, I'm sure that at some point that could always happen. And, you can, and talking about the route, I guess you could go up 55 and cut over. Is that one way you could do?
I've done that one. And right now, they're doing all that road construction on 70. And so it's almost like a battlefield on 70 trying to go across. I mean, truly my favorite way, and it's probably the least, it's the least straight, is the 72 to 21 to
the scenic route.
Yeah, and I mean I like it. So once I get to basically 60, I feel like I'm almost home. I start getting into Butler County. So,
and again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. Covers Butler, part of Butler, all of Dunklin, and some of Pemiscot County. Cameron, a lot of people say, well, you're only in session January through May with a couple weeks, but really, to be an effective state representative, you're working 365. Is that correct?
Yes. You have to. I think even if you're not in session, when we're out of session, we're looking at bills to be like what would help folks, what bills need to be filed. We have our caucus meetings. This year we've had now going to have 2 special sessions that eat up, a couple of weeks at a time, and then just you want to talk to your constituents, what they need, what issues. And I've talked to many constituents since I've been home. Say, hey, look, this is something we need to change or fix or correct. So,
and there's also numerous other questions that and it's always the elephant in the room is there's fundraising. You're all you have to raise money, yes. and it's something that you're required to do. You have to raise money. You have to do that. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, tell me a little bit about what's your favorite part of being the representative for the 150th District.
My favorite part is, being able to be a voice for the people here, because I think that's important. I always say that we need a bigger footprint. Southeast Missouri needs a bigger footprint in the state, and that's what I want to do. So if you have an issue, and being your voice in Jefferson City.
And if we wanted to get a hold of Cameron Bunting Parker, I'm sure that we can get on a website or a phone number. You have an outstanding, is it legislative assistant?
Yes.
I'm always bad with terms, aren't I, Maureen? He's shaking his head. I always get that wrong. Usually numbers are wrong and names are sometimes wrong, but Maury keeps me straight. Thank you, Maureen. So how would we get a hold of your office there in Jefferson City if we needed to get a hold of Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th?
So my phone number up there is 573-751-0600. 3629. And my legislative assistant that is always there has the voicemails. Her name is Wanda, and she is wonderful. And then I have a email, and it's cameron.parker@house.mo.gov. Of course, I always tell folks my law office is in Risco. You can call me there, 276-2261. And then if you happen to come up, and I always please come up to the Capitol. Even if whoever you are, come up, stop by and see me. I'm in room 305A. Love to provide tours, show you around. There's some of the neatest things in our state is right there at the state capitol, and I always like to show it off. So
absolutely, and we're here again, and welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, you indicated that you have passed numerous bills this session. We talked about the cochlear implants or the hearing aids. What are some of the other areas that you really want to talk about and focus on? Because, again, I'm not easily impressed. Isn't that right? But I have to say that if this is your third session and you have 12 to 13 bills passed, that's absolutely unbelievable and amazing for this area. So tell the listeners a little bit about some of the ones that you feel, other than the hearing aids, that are very important for this area.
There's a couple, Darren. One I specifically liked was it was on Senate Bill 150, and it was the Higher Education Core Curriculum Act. And so what that was is if you go to a JUCO or a community college and you're taking, you're trying to get your AA degree, which is 60 hours, the state legislature or the state statute said only 42 hours would be accepted by a four-year university. And so what we tried to do is make some legislation that all 60 hours in 5 certain divisional areas would transfer. So if you're a JUCO kid or a parent of a kid that goes to college, your hours would pass and be counted. So and I think that's important because the state of Missouri spends about $7 million on A-plus scholarship for kids going to community colleges or two-year colleges. And this would be saving taxpayers' dollars and helping parents and the student alone not having to repeat classes. So I was pretty excited about that one.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th. Cameron, and talk about that, it seems like, why would we have to take 18 hours that wouldn't amount to anything just to get, you know what I mean? It's why, and I think that's the important thing that I want the people to know is you're going to the state capitol and you're representing us to try to make it so our lives are better. How do you make it better? Health care with the hearing aids, education with the addition of, hey, take these 18 hours that we've already taken. We shouldn't have to do it again. What are some other legislation that you've worked on this year?
Another thing that we did, and it seems kind of like it was just about a two-line bill, but it was the Basic Civil Legal Services Fund. So if you're familiar with legal aid, that funding from the state of Missouri was going to run out to that program. And so that was something that we extended. And as you know, many folks in our area, in our district, access legal aid when they need certain legal issues done. So we extended that funding so that the indigent folks would be able to get the legal services needed. Absolutely.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, what is the plan for the veto session? Do y'all have a script, for lack of a better word? I mean, a lot of people are like, it's so confusing. That's why they don't want to be involved in it. They're like, we have a House, we have a Senate. How do we make them all work? And then we go back again and we change things. Kind of explain a little bit about what is going to happen or what's on the agenda for the veto session.
So the veto session normally is if Governor Kehoe passes something and we don't like it, we're going to veto, some bill that we don't agree with that got passed. But since he has called a special legislative session, we are talking this time also about initiative petition reform and redistricting. Currently, Missouri has 8 congressional districts, and it's a 6-2 split, 6 Republican seats, 2 Democrat seats. They're trying to redistrict and remove one of the Democrat seats out of Kansas City. So it'll be more like a 7-1 seat that goes to represent us in Washington, D.C.
And I guess my question is, the only thing that can be addressed is what's specifically laid out to be talked about. So I can't go up and say, hey, I want you to talk about more funding for education, correct?
Right. Only what the governor, on a special session, we either do, in veto session, we'll either do vetoes or what specifically Governor Kehoe has laid out in line for us to do. So those two issues. And
again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking a little bit about what goes on in Jefferson City with our representative from the 150th Congressional, apologize for that, Legislative District, Cameron Bunting Parker. Cameron, I think it's also important to know when the House passes a bill or the Senate passes a bill, they will then go to the other chamber, correct?
Correct.
And then those bills will have to be agreed upon by each chamber, correct?
Right.
And now, if there's any issues, what do we do then?
So depending on what they are, so that, like, say a House bill goes over to the Senate, passes the House, it's clean. I say clean, meaning there's not a lot of stuff added to it. It goes to the Senate, it has to run through the same process, has to go to assigned to committee, and you as a House member have to go over to the Senate and present your bill in front of the Senate committee and have your witnesses also, which you've done that in the House, goes through there, has to go through the Senate floor. If there are discrepancies, say two versions of the same bill get through. One gets through the House, one gets through the Senate. Then they do a joint committee, and you go and you have a joint committee with usually 4 or 5 senators, 4 or 5 House members, and then they discuss and hash out what should be included or what should not be included in that particular bill.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th State Legislative District that covers parts of Butler, all of Dunklin, and some of Pembroke County. And Cameron, you said something that's very interesting to me. Those committees, when they get together to talk between the Senate and the House, you said there's 4 or 5. How many actual representatives are there in the state of Missouri? Is it 163?
Yes.
And then we have, 35 senators?
Yes.
So how do we decide what 4 or 5 is going to negotiate that issue?
The Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem decide. Speaker of the House in the House and the President Pro Tem in the Senate will decide who comes. Normally, it's your bill handler, it's the committee chair. If it's a judiciary bill, I would be on that committee, and then 2 or 3 other folks that I think get along with the other side pretty well.
And is it my understanding that you've been on numerous of those committees?
Yes.
How many? And again, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. And Cameron, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I think it's very important for the listeners in this area to realize you're not just filling a seat in Jefferson City. They've asked you to see the inner workings of what's going on there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you indicated that you've been a part of these committees. How many of these I say committee, conference committees have you been a part of?
So last year, none, because we only had 6 bills get through. So
that was a great session in my opinion.
Yeah.
I give it here for that one.
Well, but this year I was on, I think, 3 or 4, just depending on, specifically my bills, and trying to go over there and get those resolved. So,
and again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd, KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker. One thing about Cameron is you can always ask her a question, and she's more than willing to give you a straightforward answer. Cameron, you indicated that you like for people from your area to come up and visit. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So if they'll give you a little bit of notice, you'll be happy to...
Notice or not, just come on. If you just come by my office, I mean, I'm there. I'm there to work, so I'm in the office. So, if you give me notice, I can set up tours of the Capitol, of the Governor's Mansion, the Supreme Court, anything that you might want to see, the Whispering Gallery in the Capitol. But even if you just pop in, if you're there in Jeff City, come by and see, because I don't get a lot of visitors. Some people live 20 or 30 minutes away, some reps do, and they have people in all the time. So I may have a handful of visitors, and we'll take you on the House floor. You get introduced by that, I would introduce you on the House floor. So come up.
Mooring, looks like we have a trip planned for me and you, buddy.
Please come. I'd love to have you both.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District that covers parts of Butler County, parts of Pembroke County, and parts of Dunklin County. Cameron, When you're not in session, what are you doing?
Well, I practice law most of the time. I try to do that, my law practice, and then with my family, I have horses. I have some hobbies. I like to ride horses, do some fun stuff too. So,
And again, I'm not trying to let any secrets out of the bag, but it's my understanding that you're an aspiring barrel racer.
yeah, well, yes, I try. So, I don't want to feel like I practice that as well. So,
And I've watched some of those young ladies on those barrel racing horses. That seems a little dangerous, Cameron.
it does. It does. It's fun though.
Well, now we know. Welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. And again, we're here with Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. Covers parts of Butler, parts of Pimscott, and all of Dunklin County. And I cut you off. We were talking about some of the other bills. There were some other bills that you're really, really, really excited about that you passed last legislative session.
Yes. Darren, I can go on and on about this. So you're going to have to cut me off about this. But one we did was the Water Preservation Act. So it was the water rights bill that where somebody couldn't come in, a western state or something, and come into the state and export our natural resource out of the state without some checks and balances. So the Missouri soybean, Missouri Farm Bureau, that was a high priority for them. So we got that done. And that's very important, I thought. And then if you want me to keep
Absolutely.
on going. Okay,
Absolutely.
like I said, you'll. And then another one I was really excited about was the electronic wills and trust provision. So we currently, as a lawyer, you know this, if you're going to execute a will or a trust, you have to have a wet signature. You have to be in the office. I see you sign. My notary sees you sign. But now there's a law that if you are remote, say you're in the hospital or you can't get in, then we can do this electronically. And then there's provisions of how that is stored or safeguarded so it can't be lost. And also you can have remote notary.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District that covers parts of Butler, all of Dunklin, and parts of Pimscott County. Cameron's talking about some of her legislation that was passed last session. It was her third full year, second term, first year. And just for the people to know, and again, is it my understanding that you're elected, you do 2-year terms, and then you run again, correct?
Yes.
And we also have term limits in the state of Missouri. Is that right?
Yes. So I can do 4 2-year terms, so I can serve 8 years.
And we talked a little bit about the learning curve, and it's very difficult when you first go in, and obviously it takes some time. Did you ever think to yourself, maybe this is not for me?
No, not really. Sometimes when I drive back and forth and I have a 4.5 hour drive, I wonder, is this really what? But I love it. I love being home. Don't get me wrong. And since I've been up there, I've realized I've always loved Southeast Missouri. I went off for law school and came back home. Went off for college, came back home. But I love the people down here. I love going to the store and seeing somebody I know and getting to talk to them. So that's something I miss. But no, I really do enjoy it. And like I said, I like to be the voice for you and everybody down here. And
again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District. And if you want to go to Jefferson City, you've got to go by Cameron's office, which is
305A. It's on the 3rd floor, the entry to where the house is. And even if you're not in my district, stop by and see me. So if you're Stoddard County, and come on by. Anybody that's from Southeast Missouri or this area, I'd love for you to stop by because I don't want to miss you.
And, you talked a little bit about the Whispering Gallery and some of the things. There's some very neat artwork in the state capitol. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, I should know this, but the artist's name always escapes me. Is it Thomas Hart Benton?
It is.
Is he originally from Missouri?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
And then also there's a Missourian Hall of Fame. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's also in the Capitol?
Yes. And if you haven't been up lately, they have just done, this last year, they're doing renovations, and they've done, I think it's called the Hall of Governors. And so the picture of every governor, right when you enter the Capitol on either side, they have their pictures, their portraits and all the way through. So the entire every governor that's been a governor of the state of Missouri.
Absolutely. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District that covers parts of Butler, parts of Pemiscot, and all of Dunklin County. Cameron, you indicate that you live in the Campbell area. Prior to becoming a state rep, you were also a member of the school board. Is that correct?
Yes, I was. I served about 7 years.
Talk a little bit about the difficulty of education in the state of Missouri, as far as I know that you want it to be fully funded every year.
Absolutely.
What's going on with the state education?
So this year we did fully fund the formula, which is important. And I think what we find in Jeff City a lot of times is we have St. Louis and Kansas City folks that they want to direct our public school funds to private schools and vouchers, and that doesn't necessarily work here. We don't have many private schools down here, and so they allowed to take a lot of the funding from our public schools and put it elsewhere. And so that is, we have to have our schools down here in our different school districts.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District. And I think Cameron will kind of follow these sentiments. A strong school makes a strong town.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
100%. And you drive through some of these towns that have lost their schools, and unfortunately, some of them are just crumbling. You have to have your school district, because a lot of times in our towns, and this, our school is the largest employer in the whole community.
Absolutely. And again, we're Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the state rep for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, and also, I think you'll also agree, and the next issue is we have 412 from Kennett to the state line in Arkansas. That's 2-lane. It's 412 has now been 4-lane from here to I don't know where. It gets us over to the I-55 and then past that to Dyersburg and things of that nature. What's going on with 412? Are we getting closer, do you think, to getting it 4-laned?
I think so. I mean, they've done the environmental study, which is kind of a step that you have to click off to be on the what's called the MoDOT STIP. And so that's a priority, a legislative priority, is to get money to get, I think, that last 20 miles 4-laned. I mean, and you drive on it. We drive up and down that road. It needs to be 4-laned. It's dangerous without it. And so, we had it in the budget last year, and then when the House budget was sent over to the Senate, it got stricken out. And so we're really upset about that. But hopefully this year, being on budget, we can put that money back in for our citizens down here in Southeast Missouri.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th. And Cameron, I think we have some good news in that it's my understanding State Representative Donnie Brown is now going to be, is he the resident engineer?
The area engineer for the Southeast Missouri District. So yes, he left the House. He got this job with MoDOT and had to leave that, which we're going to miss him in the House because he was a great asset, but he is going to be wonderful in that position. I think he started September 1.
And again, not to, think that Cameron's always reaching out and what's the word for it? You always make, I can't think of what I'm saying. She's always got her finger in a bunch of pies because she knows what's going on. But you and Donnie were actually suite mates in Jefferson City.
We were, yes. We shared we shared Wanda, the legislative assistant. And since we split Pemiscot County, I thought it was important kind of for us to go up. And you find this, I mean, if you have we're fighting sometimes 20 or 25 reps from St. Louis area or Kansas City area, or even Springfield doesn't have that many. So if Southeast Missouri as a whole can have kind of a pretty good group of constituent or reps that kind of band together, and we have, and I think whoever's going to replace Donnie will be good too, but we have a good working relationship with the area reps, also the area senators, including Senator Bean and Senator Berger.
Absolutely. Again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District, talking a lot about what she does in Jefferson City for us. And we were talking about some bills. Are some other bills that you're still excited about? I want you to, I know you've got that paperwork in front of you. Cameron and I, we've known each other for a long time. And she's always prepared, and you can see I'm just over here. Me and Maureen are just hanging out in that right, Maureen?
Well, there are a few more. I didn't carry these, but I just think it's important to mention.
Absolutely.
So, the state of Missouri, we fully eliminated the capital gains tax in the state of Missouri. And so that is going to be eliminated starting kind of retroactive January 1, 2025. So I think that's important to note. Obviously, the school funding, the fully funding the formula, foundation formula. And then there were some other, we passed, I think, this year, and you may not like this, but we got a lot of good bills passed this year. Like last year we had 6. I think this year there's maybe like 47, not including your budget bills. So I think there's a lot of good stuff going on and some priorities getting taken care of.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Cameron Bunting Parker from the 150th Legislative District, represents parts of Butler, parts of Pembescott, and all of Dunklin. And Cameron, if I was wanting to follow what had been filed and how it's progressing through the session, I can do that, correct?
Yes, you can.
And obviously, I probably won't, but I could. How would I do that?
So you can just go to house.mo.gov, and it's our House website. And then you can look up, say, if you want to see what I filed, my name is on there. All the members' names are on there, what district they represent, every single bill that has been filed. Then if you click on, okay, I want to follow, Senate House Bill, whatever, 150, or click on that, and it'll show you what committee it's been assigned to, if it's got a committee hearing. You can even, if there's something you're very interested in and you want to testify at committee, but you can't come up to Jeff City, you can do that by written submission of your testimony, and you can do that online as well. And we get a lot of that, and we look at that.
Absolutely. Again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. And Cameron, you talk a lot about the automation and the things that are going on. If I wanted to come up and just watch you guys in action, could I do that?
Yes, you can. The sessions are open. There's only been like a handful of times they've been closed when there's been some kind of dangerous situations, or whether they thought there was going to be some disruption. But it is open. So if you come up, and like I said, call me if you want to come up. But even if you just want to come up and watch, sit in the gallery and watch, sometimes it's not as interesting as you might think. But it's you're welcome anytime. It's always open. Absolutely.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District, who represents parts of Pembescott, parts of Butler, and all of Dunklin County. Cameron, how many festivals, parades, and fairs have you been to?
Well, I try to make all of them, so I don't keep a count of them. Actually, I like that kind of stuff. My husband, he's always my parade driver, so he will balk at a few and not drive for me on some. But I enjoy going. I enjoy seeing folks.
And the one thing, and again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. It is almost parade season. We're starting to really get ramped up. And one thing I always say about Cameron, whenever I go to these places and these parades, I'm like, she knows more people in the area. I'm like, how did you get the Needleyville cheerleaders? How do you get, some gentleman that I've never seen before with an awesome tractor driving a trailer? So, I mean, connections is what I have to say about Cameron. Is she has connections in Jefferson City. She has connections all through Southeast Missouri, and we're lucky to have her as our state representative. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Cameron, I see that there's some paper out there. Is some more legislation that you would like to talk about?
No, I've basically hit all the highlights. I mean, I could go, like I said, go on. No, I've hit the big stuff, I think. And if you do have questions, if anybody has questions about something that's going on, please reach out to me. And like I said, if there's an issue that you're concerned about or worried about, call my office, because it is very nice when I'm in Jeff City. If there's something that I particularly don't like, it's nice to be able to say, hey, I've also spoke to my constituents, and this hurts our area because this, and this. Or if you do like it, call me and give me that. It's nice to be able to have citizen constituent input.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking Cameron Bunting Parker. And Cameron, again, I know we've done this once. If we wanted to get a hold of you and we wanted to say, hey, here's what I want to say about this bill, obviously Miss Wanda, who's your legislative assistant, extremely nice lady. She can put up with me. She can put up with anyone. Isn't that right, Maureen? Absolutely. How would we get a hold of you if we wanted to say, I like this or don't like this or wish you'd do this?
You can do email, cameron.parker at house.mo.gov. You can do telephone at 573-751-3629, which is Jeff City. I have a law office in Risco. You can just call over there, come by, 276-2261. And it's in Risco, it's 121 Front Street, Risco.
And again, you have two outstanding legal assistants that work there, Tab and
Emily.
Yes. They will be happy to see you. They've let me in the building once or twice when I come by, but, not always. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, one thing that a lot of people may say, well, we're kind of winding down this once we figure out this special session / veto session. How will we know what's on the agenda for next year in January? Do people pre-file bills?
Yes. So you start pre-filing December 1st is usually when you can start pre-filing bills.
And if I wanted to know about pre-filing bills, where can I find that?
That house.mo.gov for the House, and if it's a Senate, senate.mo.gov.
Absolutely.
Bill.
So again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker from the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, what do you think will be the major issue that you'll be thinking about next year?
Next year, there are a few things that there was some sovereign immunity stuff that I didn't get done this year. So, and then whatever issues come up. I've spoken to a couple of constituents about some issues that we may need to fix or correct. And so sometimes there are just tweaks in the law that we didn't see, hey, this is a mistake or not a mistake, but it just doesn't work exactly as planned. And that's what I'm doing now is kind of looking at legislation. Also, an important thing is kind of looking to see what we need monetarily, in our area, in Dunklin County, in Butler County, and Pemiscot County. Where do we know we need the 412 money, and that's a big priority. So we're setting some priorities, budgetary, and then if there are any fixes in the law.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. And Cameron and I have actually talked after I've done some of these shows. For instance, things like I would love to figure out a way to get the Stars and Stripes Museum in Bloomfield some money.
Absolutely. That's on the priority list. I
would also love to figure out a way, and I don't know if it's possible, to get the Boot Hill Youth Museum some money.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I think the airport in Malden with their museum talking about the training during the World War I and II.
Yes.
I think that, if it's not World War, maybe World War II and so forth. But that needs to be addressed as well. And there's a lot of issues in this area, that we'd like. Also, the Stoddard County Historical Society, things of that nature.
Right.
So again, if people have concerns or needs, the only way you're gonna know about it is if what?
If they call me or email me, they've got to get a hold of me about that.
And again, believe me, I've called and complained to Cameron a lot. She listens to my complaints. Don't look at me like that, Maureen. I'm not a complainer, am I? Again, and we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Very excited to have a few minutes with our state rep from the 150th District. We're winding down. We got about 4 or 5 minutes left. Cameron Bunting Parker, as I indicated, represents parts of Butler, all of Dunklin, and parts of Pemiscot County. Cameron, what do you see yourself? I know you practice law there in Risco, and that keeps you busy. You've got the kids, obviously Chad. You indicate when you're not doing that. What do you like to do?
So, like I said earlier, I ride horses occasionally. We do a little barrel horse riding, and then I do. We've been trail riding lately, so that's been kind of fun. Just kind of I enjoy hanging out with my family. My family live close around, so I enjoy doing that. And
it would be absolutely unacceptable if we didn't talk about one of my favorite people in the entire world. That is Cameron's dad, Ricky Bunting.
He's a good one.
Everybody loves Ricky Bunting. Obviously, your mother, Mary Margaret, a longtime school teacher. Is that correct?
That's correct. 33 years.
And then you have two siblings. My favorite, of course, is Aaron, who does some appraisals. Is that correct?
Right.
And then his wife, Lori.
Yes, he's a teacher at Campbell.
And he also has 3 children, is that correct?
Yes, he does.
I love Sam, I love Will, and I really like Sarah. I got to start play volleyball the other night.
Oh,
outstanding. And then, of course, we have Casey.
My youngest sibling.
And, she is married to Pete Roast.
That's correct.
From New Manor, is that correct?
Yes.
What can you say about Pete and Casey Roast?
Great folks. Lots of fun. So Pete's a farmer over there. Casey's a school counselor.
And anybody I talk to in Southeast Missouri, if I mention the name Pete and Casey Roast, they say, oh, we love them. Or just like Aaron and Lori Bunting. So, and of course, Ricky is my man. So I've always loved Ricky Bunting and Mary Margaret. So, and again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. We're winding down with Cameron Bunting Parker, the state representative for the 150th Legislative District. Cameron, if there's anything that you'd like to leave us with before you're kind of wind down here.
Yeah, sure. You know, I enjoy representing Southeast Missouri. I like to be the voice in Jefferson City, and I always tell folks, I feel like I serve the best part of the state down here in God's country with the very best people.
And again, one thing that's kind of a touchy subject, you know, we talked about the white elephant in the room, but I need to put it out there. If we think that you're doing a good job, and I wanted to say, you know what, I would like to send Cameron Bunting Parker $25. I'd like to send her $50, $10. How would I do that?
You can mail that to me at my P.O. Box 166 in Malden. Also, though, I'm having a fundraiser, and it's an open fundraiser. I mean, everybody's invited. It's on December 6th at Ryan Riley's shop outside of Risco, and we do it's the third annual turkey shoot. So it's where you have, we're not shooting actual turkeys. We're shooting targets where you win a live turkey, not a live turkey, a frozen turkey, but also then you win other prizes. We have rifles, we have coolers. I'm hoping to have some Kansas City Chiefs tickets this year to win. Then we have a big fish fry at lunchtime. We normally have, in times past, I've had the Speaker of the House, the floor leader, the Lieutenant Governor, who was Kehoe at the time, come down. So we try to have some statewides there.
Absolutely. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker, the state rep for the 150th Legislative District. And she's going to have a big fundraiser on December
6th.
Is there going to be information posted somewhere?
I'll post it on my Facebook page. It's just Cameron Bunting Parker.
And everybody who wants to join can just say, hey, I want to befriend Cameron Bunting Parker and go from there.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you indicated, and one thing, you know, and we're kind of off subject here, but I think it's kind of funny, you know, when you talk about turkey shoots, one of our favorite things that we do at KDX is our annual turkey drop.
Which is what is, I'm not sure I know what that is.
Well, there used to be a show called WKRP in Cincinnati.
Okay. So I didn't know you did. Okay.
And we just joke about that. But again, December 6th, turkey shoot, Ryan Riley's shop.
Yes.
On
62 Highway, just west, a half a mile west of Risco on the south side of the road.
And again, you know, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Every name that you mentioned is somebody I'm like, I really like that guy. I mean, how do you not like Ryan Riley? He is an absolutely amazing person. He's a really good guy. Hopefully there'll be bigger things. You know, he's farming now, but I think he has a future and lots of different things. So I wish Ryan the best and all that. And again, we're winding down on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590 with Cameron Bunting Parker, state rep for the 150th Legislative District. And Cameron, I know that you want to say a special shout out to the one person that if he did not say, I'm going to buy in, that this would not be possible. That's your husband, Chad Parker.
Absolutely. He does. He picks up all the slack when I'm gone. And when I have several horses, and they're mine, and he will feed them, and he feeds my cats and all my animals, and he just takes care of everything. So yes, couldn't do it without him for sure.
And again, I'm going to give him a shout out. Chad also, when he's not taking care of all your animals, what does Chad do?
He's a Missouri Farm Bureau insurance agent, so he sells insurance in Butler County. Absolutely.
And if you need any insurance, you can get a hold of Chad Parker up there. There's numbers in the book, or do you know it offhand?
I know his cell number, but I can give that out too. So he takes calls on anything.
He would love.
Yeah, 217-8057.
Yeah, give Chad a call. He's insured me, and if he insure me, he'll insure anybody. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Cameron Bunting Parker. I'd like to thank her for giving us an opportunity to speak with her today. She represents the 150th Legislative District, which includes parts of Butler, parts of Pemiscot, and all of Dunklin County. And on behalf of my executive producer, Daren Todd, and my main man to my right that I couldn't do without him, Maureen Johnson, and occasionally Misty Hankins when she will show up. This is Daren Todd Welcome to the booth, KDX AM 59. Thank you for making us part of your day, and I hope you have a better tomorrow.